Welcome back. Well, Gauteng Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi has visited a Soweto school in Deep Kloof, actually, after the alleged rape of a grade 8 learner. It emerged that the learner was allegedly raped by 3 fellow learners during a school orientation camp south of Johannesburg this weekend. We earlier spoke to the MEC after his meeting with the school. Watch.
It's a very difficult matter, unfortunately, and we're trying the entire morning just to piece together the story, but it's very, very difficult. The information we have thus far is that the school arranged an induction program for their grade 8. That's what they normally do, so that the grade 8s understand the culture of the school and everything. So they left on Friday to go to the Val Sidibeng in a place called Didier. And when they were there, immediately they convened every learner to share the ground rules for the weekend and explain what are the things that need to happen. And one of the ground rules was obviously that boys must stay separately from girls, and they drew a line that no one must cross that line. And we had information that the girl child then went to the boy chalet, allegedly, and then was robbed inside the room, and they mentioned 3 boys, and they specifically wanted to see one of the boys. And in that interaction, the other boys said they then witnessed this activity taking place that was completely unacceptable. The teachers that were there, they said when they interviewed them, it's only 2 boys that confessed that they were part of that activity, and another girl just said the girl just stood on top of him, but they were all clothed at that time, so nothing happened. So on the basis of that, the teachers were approached by the same 3 boys, and that's when they explained what happened. And on that basis, then they went to open a case and took the child for medical attention. And what shocked the teachers, obviously, is that the girl is not the one that reported the matter. It's the other boys that reported the matter.
Okay, let's get more on this story. Let me bring in Steve Mabona. Mabona is the Gauteng Education spokesperson with regards to this seemingly disturbing story. Steve, I'm just a bit confused in terms of who actually reported this case to the police?
Look, the learner, the victim did not report, but remember the school has a responsibility to report such cases. The principal and the management, they need to report. So they are saying the victim did not report to the school management or the principal or all the educators. It's only the learners that were, implicated in the incident that reported to the educators. Then they took it from there. But what we were not happy about is the probing, for a possible confession, one might put it that way. Those are the things that we said to our officials. You can't do that, because if police conduct an investigation, you can't be saying an educator did this and all that. So because this is quite a serious case that police need to investigate. So we are happy that the case is open.
What is the process when an allegation of this nature comes to the fore? What happens? What's the first thing that is done with regards to getting a statement and the rest, and the involvement of police?
Our officials can't go to the statement part. For them is to report. They need to interact with the parents. It will then depend the availability of parents, whether they are far or they're closer to the to the area where the matter can be reported at the police station. They can either accompany the parents or, because the principal has a responsibility to report, can report the case, but further they will then engage parents to get, consent to interact with the learner. Because remember, this is a minor. So even the police, when they do their work, they need to go to the parent and say, we need to interact with the child. They need to get necessary consent. Then they will be in a position to do their work. So the specific unit that deals with the family violence and children's, assault or sexual assault or any cases that involve children, they will be, persuading this matter. We understand that they've started with the process of processing the children, but we have suspended the 3 learners through the SGB, because SGB will then take responsibility of discipline in our school. So the children have been, suspended. They will,
how old are they?
We're talking 13-year-olds.
And the alleged victim?
13 years. All of them, yeah, 13-year-old. Yeah, so they will be appearing next week.
Okay.
You need to give them an opportunity to be processed departmentally. Can't leave them at home forever, because the Schools Act will also be violated if you don't do that. So we need to process them, make sure that the necessary decision is taken. The sanction, SGB will take that, because that process can go parallel to the criminal activity, because then for departmental you need to have your statements, which they will then assist you to take necessary disciplinary process.
Steve, we're talking 13-year-olds here. The other story that took place a couple of weeks ago with regards to the murder, those were teenagers as well. What is going wrong here?
It's quite sad. It's quite sad. That's why we normally call upon parents to say, let's work together. This is our children. We cannot afford to say, when you take your learners or take your children to school, leave them there, and it's the responsibility of educators or the school to manage them. Let's work together and make sure that we instill discipline in our learners, because discipline is quite paramount in our environment. Hence, the code of conduct. We don't craft code of conduct of schools. We take it back to the SGB, and SGB represent a parent, element in the school. So we give them that responsibility so that they can put in the code of conduct that our children must conduct themselves in this fashion. In the event of any transgression, they know what to do in terms of your necessary sanction. But it's quite concerning. It's quite, it's worrisome actually what is happening in our environment.
No doubt parents have a huge responsibility here, but also it's a societal problem, isn't it? I mean, when we're raising our children, be it male or female, how we socialize them, are there any programs in schools currently that talk to this issue?
Look, remember we're in the social cluster, so what we do, we work very closely with our sister departments, your social development, Department of Health. They will be coming to schools with their health program, not educating learners on how to interact with each other on sexual intercourse, but to give them alarms on what is it that are dangers, your ailments or diseases that are out there, and community safety as well. For the safety of the learners, we work very closely with them. So all of us are in this space, but then trying to work together and make sure that we don't see these eventualities, but we see them coming. So it's a matter of partnership. Other stakeholders need to come forward and say, raise their hands and say, what is it that we can assist? But there are NGOs that are raising their hands to say, department, this is what we can do. Give us the space. So there are those that we're working very closely with them to say, let's give them space. Those that want to conduct necessary workshops, give them that space, and they do that, because we really need to work together on this.
How does parents even start this conversation? I guess the important thing is to have the conversation, but how do you approach it? Is there any help given to parents if they're unfamiliar or uncomfortable with dealing with such an issue?
Yeah, I mean, our social workers are there. I mean, we've got what we call psychosocial unit team in our space. They are, when you phone them, when you interact with them to say, go to a certain school to assist, they will always be there. This morning already, we can assure you that the victim has been seen by our psychosocial unit team. I mean, when we leave the school, already they came to confirm to us to say, we went to their house, this is the condition where we found the child in, and this is what we have done. They also went to the perpetrators, their homes to check, and because the police must also go there. So they need to be taken through the process of counseling as well. So that's what we can do. That's why we'll then partner with the parents, make sure that we support them. So parents, if they need to start these conversations, we've got professionals who will be in a position to can assist them. Hence, we're saying our partnership with Department of Health is not that of saying we distribute condoms. It's that of saying there's health education, not even sex education, as other people will be saying, we are conducting sex education.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that. We are conducting health education, which means you need to take learners through the dangers. When you interact, when you go into sexual intercourse, what are the dangers that are there? There's teenage pregnancy, there's diseases that are scary, which come through sexual intercourse. So all those elements, you need to teach these children at a tender age, and that's what they are doing. But then if it doesn't help, then parents need to also assist us.
Look, so if we're running a poll today and we're asking our viewers, let's put it up. Are learners as well as educators safe in schools? And 89% saying no and 11% saying yes, 270 votes cast. I mean, when 89% of the votes saying that learners and educators, I'm coupling the both now, learners and educators are not safe, what does that tell you?
Look, it's quite bad. Remember, when you put a statement that is broad like that, you're prone to have probably the no's. But when you drill it down and say, what is it that we are doing as the department? What is it that we are doing as the education sector? We're doing a lot. I mean, we have what we call safety measure policy, which cut across anything which has to do with the safety of a learner in
which is what?
Which is any sexual assault that might happen to a child. What is it that you need to do? There are protocols to manage that. Bullying, I mean, it's an issue now, and go even to cyberbullying. Any hazard that might happen to a learner, be it any environment that is not conducive for learners to be there, whether the structure is hazardous, all those elements, the school has a responsibility to make sure that they manage those areas, because there's a protocol that says, in the event of this is what you do. In terms of reporting, this is how we report and manage.
What about raids at schools? Tell us about the process of doing a raid in a primary school or a high school. What rights do learners have? What rights do educators have? What rights do parents have? How is it conducted?
No, that is done as per the principal's decision. The principal can consult with the senior management team at the school to say, this is what we need. It will be based on probably suspicion. If they suspect that the school is infested with drugs, or there's dangerous weapons that are here, or we see learners are misbehaving or they behave strangely, then the principal can call upon police to conduct that. Once the principal calls the police, they don't need to go to any court for a permission to come and search.
Can a learner refuse to be searched?
No, can't. You can't.
A learner can't refuse to be searched.
Once the principal has already indicated that to the police, I need you to conduct this raid at the school. The police, when they come, then they will search everyone, because the call by the principal, it's a permission. It's in there in the Schools Act. So they are allowed to do that.
So they can physically raid or search a 13-year-old, for instance.
Definitely, they can search bags. They can search all the learners in our environment. They can search the entire school. In the event, probably some weapons or some drugs are hidden somewhere. They have a right to do that. They will come with the sniffer dogs to come and do that work.
But do parents need to be informed prior to this?
No, we don't, because remember, once a learner comes to our environment, now the principal is the person in charge. Educators are parents, by law. So that space is ours, and they will, in the event of anything, we can interact with the parents. But remember, the SGB is part of the school. So once we've interacted with the SGB endorse what we are doing, then all parents are represented, because remember, SGB is elected by the parents. So the parent body can't say, this is not our decision. Once the SGB agree to what is happening in our environment, then it goes, because the SGB is there to assist to govern the school. 80% of what is happening in our school, it's a decision of the SGB. Hence, we will normally encourage parents to elect people that they entrust, the safety or anything to their SGB. They can't just elect anyone that will be coming there with ulterior motives, with wanting to benefit, wanting to introduce his company to procure, and to all those mismanagement things that are happening there. Elect someone that we entrust you know, him with the safety, with everything that will be happening in the school, you know, governing, you know, everything. So that's what we need to do, and we always encourage parents to do that.
Steve Mabona, very interesting insight indeed. Thank you very much indeed for coming and explaining this to us. That was Steve Mabona, is the Gauteng education spokesperson. Okay.